Okay, as I already introduced, I'm responsible for cybersecurity and IT for UTI Group. First of all, I would like to apologize for the Romanian speakers. I'll do the presentation in English. No disrespect, but I think there are other participants as well that will not understand Romanian, sorry. So let's have a quick look at the current security landscape. Some analysis about breach reports, what are the sources, what's the trend and what's going on in 2014. We have some reports, including October this year, and what we can do. Good. How do breaches occur? 52% of the sources, as you can see, some sort of hacking. 76% of them, misconfiguration, lazy people, next, finish, and you end up leaving a critical infrastructure vulnerable. That's not good. Now let's see who's behind the attacks, or at least who should be behind the attacks. What do we notice? It's China. But the second entry, guess what? It's Romania. Can we confirm that 100%? Attribution of cyber attacks, that's difficult. Maybe someone hacked the computer and they are just using it from Romania to attack a different host. So also in terms of NATO, cyber attribution, that's a tough one. Victim industries. Retail. Most likely you saw this year they were the most targeted. And I'm talking globally. Manufacturing, information. Good. Let's go to some more recent information. For example, insiders, the threat. Employees, whether they are current or employees that left the company, they still present the major risk here internally. And externally, we have hackers and we have a new entry this year. We have domestic intelligence servers. Thanks to Mr. Snowden, compared to last year, now people are looking also into state-sponsored attacks. And they pay more close attention to this. Who's behind the attack, who developed. You most likely know the recent findings and how long it took for security companies to detect some pieces of software that run, collect data, and God knows what else they are doing. What happened from November last year to October this year? So we have a number of 257 breaches and almost 600 million of exposed identities. What are they after? Well, real names, social security numbers, mostly. Everything that represents you as an individual. And how did the breaches occur? 57% hackers, 18% accidentally made public. That's not good, honestly. I don't think anyone feels comfortable with all their medical records, for example, ending up public or other entries. What can you do? Well, many things. For a start, get to know your infrastructure. Get to know exactly what's running, what's vulnerable, try to start to automate. Get an overview of what you have in your infrastructure. Look over trends, what's going on, what's your exposure, risks, where do you stand. But okay, most likely you already do that. How are you going to fix it? Because every day you have new vulnerabilities, everything is changing, you don't know where to start. Well, let's see, that's the tricky part. We have some ways to find out by applying which patches, which hotfix, taking which measures will have the highest impact in reducing your exposure. This is a demo report, so you can see there are only 2 assets in this. You want to have a more detailed look in terms of risks, your assets, compliance, and so forth. You have reports, you have risk scoreboards, you have everything that you know. You have reports that you can offer to your operational teams to know exactly what they have to do, what will be the impact, how much they have to work to deliver that. However, they have to be organized. That's the trick. But Fixing it, it's not the issue. It's better if you don't have to fix it and if you can prevent it in the first place. Being proactive should be our main goal, as far as I'm concerned. So now comes an interesting piece of software, Symantec Data Center Security. What does it do? Well, there are several components, as you can see. It's focusing on virtual infrastructure, so you can provide it as a transparent layer to your customers, whether they're internal or externals. And you can also use an agent for more advanced functions. The agent supports both physical and virtual. But okay, you'll most likely say, yeah, you know, we had enough, that's marketing. Everybody says we are the best and we can do it. I'm not affiliated with the vendor, just for the record. Let's see shell shock. Everybody talks about it. There was some presentation earlier today about shell shock. This is a server running a vulnerable bash version. As you can see, from localhost, you can get access to certain files and you can perform some actions which are not quite nice. But let's see if you had everything configured and you were running this piece of software. Guess what? It's not going to function. It's going to deny the access. The vulnerability is still there. I'm not going to say that you are covering 100%. And to get here, you need to be very well organized. You need to have some standards set. You need to know exactly how you are going to configure your assets, where they are going to be grouped, whether they are front-end, back-end servers, because this way you can make sure that everything is deployed properly, and when you want to do a critical update, you are not going to do the rollout in a number of days, but it's going to be instant. So preparing to have everything organized, it's key. Everything should have this, and to keep in mind. If you have, for one company, if you have, let's say, 3 servers running different versions, nothing is standardized, then it's going to be pretty challenging. Start doing this, because the longer you postpone, the harder it's going to be to get there. And some interesting session. Now it would be the demo part. Let's see. Yeah, I know I'm using an internal certificate. That's not good, but let's hope we are secure. Okay, this is the image I was showing you earlier. So what you can see is how risk evolved over time. And you can also define your sites. So basically, if you have multiple customers, you can define the customers, you can define the sites, you can schedule jobs, you can automate, you can have reports delivered, you can look at vulnerabilities. For penetration testing, it's also interesting because it's developed by Rapid7, this tool. And you can integrate it also with Metasploit. So you can also start to perform some sort of validation if indeed those assets are being exposed or not. Anyway, don't try this without proper authorization. It's not something that you play with. It's a dangerous toy. Reports. You can create your new reports. You have a number of templates, audit, baseline comparison, for example, if you have to comply with certain industry standards and regulations. highest risk vulnerabilities, an executive overview, and many others. You also have a ticketing interface where you can assign incidents and see exactly how they are going to be solved, when, and so forth. One step further. Now, this is the piece of software I was telling you about, the one that can help you prevent some nasty things from happening. But as I mentioned, be careful. You really need to know what you are configuring and how, because I'll give you the simplest example. You have maybe some custom ports used for public services, like this one, for example, 8081, which is not a commonly used port. If you set the rules and you don't include it, guess what? The service is not going to work anymore. So be careful, have everything documented, have everything ready, have plans to perform a rollback in case of something is necessary. You get an agent status. You can see there are 2 online, and they are looking good. You can do prevention, detection. You can monitor also if some files have been changed, and you can prevent all that from happening. Let's look at the assets. We have the web test, the one that it's still online. And my challenge for you will be, if you are interested, try to retrieve the password file for this one and send it to me. First one that sends the email to me will get a prize. You have the policies. You have everything that was set. You can see the history, what has happened in terms of policies, changes on this asset. You can apply the policy on either a group that you have defined, and once you deploy a new server, this is why I said standardized, guys. If you have everything standardized and it's a standard installation, you just make that server part of a group. It's going to have that policy applied. If you have a server that has multiple roles, it's also going to match, for example, a web front end, but also is going to match, I don't know, specific internal application that you have. You can mix the policies. It's able to do that. It's going to merge them. So once you have find out that you need to apply a new change because you have installed new versions or you are deploying new software for your company, customers, everything can be much easier. You don't have to take it one host at a time. But caution should be taken. Policies. You have some predefined policies depending on the type of asset and what you need to protect. You have also reports, you have monitors, you have alerts. You can integrate it with different software components, and you can make your life much easier and your company safer. Now, like I said, feel free to try to get access to that host. I'm really curious if someone is going to manage to do that. And if you are interested in more information on them or anything else, this is how you can get in touch with us. Like I said, I promised I'm going to be short because everyone is waiting for lunch. You can also smell it from here. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you so much. Question?
Okay, we'll go and we'll talk about this over lunch.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And